As of this weekend, I'm officially 15 years old, so I don't think there's a better time than right now to tell you my 15 favorite movies of all time. Hello everybody, what's up? My name is Ryan, and today we're going to be talking about my 15 favorite movies of all time, because as I just told you, this weekend is my 15th birthday, so super excited about that, lots of things happening. But this is the best time I thought to make this video. I've been wanting to make this video for a few months. Before we start, I just wanted to let you know, please subscribe to Cool Guy Studios and Ryan David. I'm hopefully posting the rest of the LEGO Wars pretty soon. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to happen, but eventually that will happen. Also, follow me on Letterboxd for updates on everything that I do with movies. I love movies. I've loved movies my whole life. And so, ranking movies is always so much fun. Follow me on Letterboxd for lists of my rankings and all that jazz. Links for all of that in the description. Something else I should probably tell you before we start. This is just my personal list. It's not everyone's list. Not everyone's going to agree with it. So, no need to leave a comment like, oh my gosh, this list is so wrong or whatever. I get it. This is just my personal list. Also, this list changes all the time. I think as of 2025, my top 15 favorite movies has changed probably about 10 times, especially with the top 15. But anyway, just now that we've gotten all that out of the way, let's officially start the actual list. I have a few honorable mentions before we start. In no order in particular for the honorable mentions, I have Star Wars A New Hope, one of the best Star Wars movies ever made, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, one of the best adventure films ever made, definitely the best Indiana Jones movie, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, one of the best action films ever created. Like, it's insane. Then I have Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man No Way Home, such great Spider-Man movies, but they couldn't quite make the top 15. And also Revenge of the Sith. That's just such a cool movie, I love that, and the origin of Darth Vader is just so awesome. But now that we got those honorable mentions out of the way, my top 15, at number 15, I have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is probably one of the hottest takes of my top 15. And because I have No Way Home and Spider-Man 2 below Across the Spider-Verse, that's probably the part of my list that has changed the most over the past few months, is which Spider-Man movie is in my top 15. It's either No Way Home, Spider-Man 2, or Across the Spider-Verse. All three of those films I see as perfect 10 out of 10. And so really, you can switch them around anyway, and I won't be mad. Currently though, as I'm feeling today, Across the Spider-Verse is my favorite of the three. Not only does it have incredible animation, probably it's my second favorite animated movie of all time, because there's one more animated film on this list, but it also just has incredible story and characters, and the way that like the Spot is in it, and Miguel O'Hara, and like the chase scene through the Spider Society, so well done. This film, every single time I watch it, I get chills. Of course, it has a cliffhanger ending, but Beyond the Spider-Verse is gonna be amazing. I know it. I know it's gonna be incredible. At number 14, I have Pirates of the Caribbean, obviously the original. The original Pirates of the Caribbean is just such a fun movie. It's so much fun. It has, obviously, the introduction of Jack Sparrow, Elizabeth, and Will Turner, an incredibly fun adventure film as they travel through, the Caribbean to find the treasure in. And this film, I probably definitely need to rewatch pretty soon. I haven't watched it in a while, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Definitely in the top 15. Johnny Depp is just so iconic in this role as Jack Sparrow.
Captain Jack Sparrow, if you please, sir.
There's really, no other way that this movie could be made. Any changes to this movie today, and it would not be as good. Jack Sparrow is just such a good character.
But you have heard of me.
At number 13, I have Toy Story 3. This movie came out the same year that I was born, and I have loved this movie my entire life. In fact, I've probably watched this movie more than any other movie on this list. I've watched it basically since I was 3. It always used to make me cry, even since I was a 3-year-old. And, different parts hit me different. Like, when I was young, I thought the monkey was horrifying. The monkey in this movie is terrifying. I don't see how this is, like, a kid's movie. It definitely is a kid's movie, but there are definitely some scarier, more mature parts, and that's just why I love Pixar. In my eyes, this is the best Toy Story movie. 3 of them are perfect. Toy Story 4 is not that good. This is the perfect send-off for the toys, and as I see it, the true ending to Toy Story. The last 10 minutes of this movie always, every single time, make me cry. This movie will forever be one of my favorites of all time. At number 12 on my list, I have Mission Impossible Fallout. This is my favorite Mission Impossible movie, and you should know Mission Impossible is one of my favorite franchises of all time. But Mission Impossible Fallout is truly an incredible film. It has not only some of the best action in the entire Mission Impossible franchise, but the best story, the best plot, and the best characters. Like, Henry Cavill in this movie is truly his best role. Better than him as Superman, 100%. Solomon Lane in this movie is scarier than he was in 5, which is pretty crazy. The beard makes him so much more intimidating. Every single action scene in this movie just builds off of the other. The first one, you have like the opening with the bomb scene in the alleyway. That scene's pretty cool. But then you have the scene where he falls out of the airplane. That scene's incredible, but it only gets better from there. The bathroom fight scene is truly remarkable. Then you have the scene where they capture Lane from falling into the water. That scene is so cool. And then you have the final scene, which is a helicopter chase through the mountain. My dad does not like this movie very much. He always argues that the end is just too unrealistic, when they literally did fly those helicopters through the mountains. Truly crazy. I love this film so much. This is Tom Cruise's second best movie, as you'll see here in just a second. But yeah, definitely the best Mission Impossible movie. By far, one of my favorite movies of all time. At number 11, you could probably guess, Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick is my best theater experience of all time. I went and saw this at IMAX at a midnight screening, and it was like the most immersive thing ever. IMAX truly is one of the best formats of watching movies. The sound was just incredible, and the jets flying through, it was like, that was probably the first action movie I ever saw in theaters, and it was at an IMAX theater. Truly crazy. This one is definitely better than the original Top Gun movie, and I know that's probably a hot take, but some people do agree with me on that. This movie has incredible action, again, incredible story, and the way that this builds off of the original in such a good way, where Tom Cruise Maverick is fighting with Goose's son, Rooster, is like a good dynamic between like how Goose died in the original and then how that builds in the sequel. The mission at the end, I call this movie Mission Impossible 6.5 because the ending is pretty much a Mission Impossible movie. That's not a bad thing though. That's pretty awesome. The last 40 minutes of the movie I could watch forever, and it just always gets better every single time. The fact that they practically flew these jets most of the time is pretty insane. But now we're getting into my top 10 movies. At number 10, I'm going to probably throw 10 and 9 together. They're pretty similar. At number 10, I have Avengers Endgame, and at number 9, I have Avengers Infinity War. Starting with Avengers Endgame, it's a great conclusion to the MCU, and me, myself, I have not seen very many MCU movies. My goal is to watch all of them before Avengers Doomsday comes out, and so ranking of all those pretty soon. But Avengers Endgame, even though I haven't seen most of the MCU, is still a phenomenal film. I can still make the connections because I pretty much know everything that happens in the MCU without seeing all the movies. And the first act is them coping with the fact that half the universe just died, and then moving on to the time travel plot, and then the last hour being the action scene of the final battle with Thanos and his army. Truly incredible when Sam Wilson says, "On your left," and then Captain America's like, "Avengers, assemble." Truly one of the greatest moments in cinema. I got to see Avengers Endgame in theaters when I was 8 years old. One of the best, coolest things ever. So definitely deserved to be in the top 10. But at number 9, I already said Avengers Infinity War. I see Avengers Infinity War as the best Marvel movie, and better than Endgame. A lot of people disagree with me. I see Infinity War as a better movie. It has more characters throughout the entire thing, and the way that it can balance having like the Guardians and Iron Man and Spider-Man all together, and then having like Thor and them and Captain America and Black Panther, and like have their all different groups and still balance it together and make it still a cohesive story is truly impressive. There's like 60 characters in Infinity War, and the fact that it all still makes sense is amazing. Plus, this was the first time that superheroes pretty much lost like in a superhero movie, if you really think about it. At the end, Thanos snaps, obviously half the universe gets dusted away, and that's the end of the movie. I did not see Infinity War in theaters, I watched it at home, but when that happened, I remember everyone was like shocked. Like anyone I would talk about Infinity War, they would be like, dang, everyone just died, and you had to wait a year for Endgame. I remember that wait was insane. And then I finally saw Endgame, and it was an incredible ending. So, honestly, Infinity War and Endgame are pretty much one super duper long movie for me, but if I had to choose one, Infinity War is better. Now we're getting into the top 8. The next 3 films are 3 Christopher Nolan movies. As you should probably know, Christopher Nolan is my favorite director of all time. 3 in a row Christopher Nolan movies, let's knock them out. Number 8, I have Inception. Inception is my favorite action movie ever made. It is just start to finish, so entertaining, and a lot of people say it's too confusing. I think it's actually just the right amount of confusing. It's like kind of hard to understand, but if you really pay attention, you can understand it, and it just goes and goes and goes and never stops. The dream sequences are always so cool in this movie. I am genuinely shocked how much of this movie was practical. Obviously, there's CGI for like the flipping buildings or whatever, but a lot of it is still pretty practical, and that's kind of crazy. Cobb is an amazing character, Leonardo DiCaprio is amazing in the role, and all of the actors in this movie are pretty good, and I like how it's a comparison to filmmaking, and how the entire crew is like, Cobb is the director, there's the screenwriter, the audience, and how it like always, it's like a comparison to filmmaking. Christopher Nolan always likes making metaphors. This movie is just so cool, and like it's James Bond like action, like the Snowy or whatever. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I'm pretty hot in this mask with the chin, as you know, but Inception is truly one of the greatest movies ever made. Oh, also my opinion on the ending, the top definitely fell. Cobb is awake, 100%. It wobbles at the end. I don't think the thing would fall over if it was wobbling, but overall, it really doesn't matter if he's awake or asleep, because he's already made the decision to see his kids. He's decided whatever this reality is, I'm living in it. And so, honestly, it doesn't matter, but if I had to say one, he is definitely awake. Also, I do kind of believe the theory that his real totem is his wedding ring, because when he's in a dream, I think it's right. If he's in a dream, he's not wearing it, and when he's in reality, he is wearing it. Or it might be the other way around, I'm not entirely sure, but it's cool that that might be the actual totem, and because the spinning thing was his wife's totem. That's another discussion. Breakdown of Inception, probably coming never. At number 7, I have a film that not very many people have seen, and I would say is the most underrated movie ever created, The Prestige, again directed by Christopher Nolan. This movie is something special. You probably haven't seen it, so I'm going to explain it to you real quick. It's about 2 rival magicians in the 1890s, and they fight and fight and fight pretty much the whole movie. That's what the movie's about. But it's so much more than that. It stars Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale as Alfred Borden and Robert Angier, and it's so awesome how Nolan can make a movie about something so simple like magic tricks and have it be so intense. This is probably one of the darkest movies I've ever watched. It starts with them being friends or whatever, and then slowly their relationship crumbles to the point where they're just trying to beat the other guy. Eventually, till the end, with the incredible plot twist at the end. I will not spoil anything that happens because I want you to go watch this movie because it is truly insane. The amazing plot twist at the end, you really realize what the movie was actually about the entire time, right? So you're watching the end and the last 5 minutes and you say, oh my gosh, that movie, what I was watching was not what I thought I was watching. And so you pretty much want to rewatch it immediately to get all the little hints that happen, because the big plot twist at the end, they kind of hint at it the entire movie. And so, like, the fact that you watch it and realize, wait, this movie is not actually what I thought it was. So you rewatch it and realize what the movie is actually about. The rewatch is better on this movie than the first watch. It is truly remarkable how ingenious the screenplay is for this movie. Definitely recommend. Go watch it as soon as you finish this video. At number 6, I have Interstellar. One of the best space movies ever made. It's such an entertaining story about the end of the world and how this farmer guy can go on to save the world, and it's pretty complicated, the whole black hole and all that kind of time dilation stuff. It's a pretty complicated movie, but it really is so amazing how all of it is grounded in science. None of it is like fiction. And the only parts that are truly fiction are things that we just can't know about. Like, a lot of people don't like the bookshelf at the end. I love it because, like, no one actually knows what's in a black hole. So it's crazy to think that there could be, like, a whole Tesseract alien thingy that was built for Matthew McConaughey to float around and talk to his daughter from the past. That's insane. But no one knows what's in a black hole. So it works for the creative liberty of the movie. Everything else is completely grounded in science. The black hole and how the time dilation works. And the fact that you can't travel at the speed of light. Originally, Christopher Nolan wanted them to travel at the speed of light. He worked with an actual physicist, Kip Thorne, and he said, no, we're not doing that because it's not grounded in science. The entire movie is grounded in science. I believe it is truly the most scientifically accurate sci-fi movie of all time. And scientists have said the most inaccurate thing about the whole movie is the fact that they can't fix Earth from Earth. They have to leave Earth. That's the most inaccurate thing, apparently. Which just goes to show how much detail Christopher Nolan put into this movie. It's also one of the most visually stunning movies I've ever seen. I watched this movie at like midnight on a big TV screen, not a movie theater, but it was still such an immersive experience, and every time I was like, whoa, this is just insane. And it's also one of Christopher Nolan's most emotional movies. The fact that it's about a father trying to get back and save his two children who think that they've abandoned him. Oh, it is so emotionally well done. But Interstellar, definitely one of the greatest movies ever made. At number 5, I have a classic, Back to the Future. Such a funny movie that also has some pretty good, fun action stuff in it. I don't really consider Back to the Future to be an action movie, but I can see why some people would. It's such a fun story about a teenager who goes back in time to meet his parents when they were his age. And it's just so funny, the dynamic between Marty and Doc, and the time machine, the time travel makes sense in this movie. I don't really know what else to say about Back to the Future that hasn't been said a billion times. This movie is truly amazing. Going into my top 4, I have Jurassic Park, one of the first movies ever to have incredible CGI in it. The dinosaurs in this movie still hold up pretty well to this day, and that was made in 1993. Absolutely insane what Steven Spielberg could do with this movie. It's kind of so interesting how it can go from a movie about like, wow, we made dinosaurs and how cool it is, and then halfway through flip it to be like a complete horror movie. Like, there's one line in the movie that Ian Malcolm says that I think is incredible, and it kind of sums up the entire movie. He says like, yes, your scientists were too busy thinking about what they could do. They didn't stop to think if they should. That's not the quote exactly, but I'll play the clip.
Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
That quote sums up the entire movie. Yes, they could make the dinosaurs, but should they have? In the second half, you realize the horrors of what they created. The score in this movie is absolutely incredible. John Williams is one of the best composers of all time, and this film is just a true classic. There's barely anything that can beat it. At number 3, I have the movie that I probably haven't watched in about 3 years, but is still one of my favorites, The Empire Strikes Back. Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. I love Star Wars so much, and I had to get a Star Wars movie in my top 15. Empire Strikes Back is truly the best Star Wars movie. It's the most iconic. Like, you have the Yoda scenes with Luke and Dagobah, the opening 40 minutes with the AT-ATs in the snow and Hoth, and then the iconic Luke, I am your father at the end of the movie, the big cliffhanger ending. And that moment, if I could go back in time, I would want to watch Empire Strikes Back in theaters and see everyone's reaction when the Darth Vader, the enemy, like one of the first ever blockbuster villains, Darth Vader, the most iconic villain, best villain of all time, is actually the main character's dad. Truly one of the best plot twists of all time. And yeah, again, there's probably not much I can say about Empire Strikes Back that hasn't already been talked to death, so this movie is just truly great. But at number 2, I have Gladiator, the only R-rated movie on my entire top 15 list. This movie is just so awesome. The opening 10 minutes of the fight with Germania is so cool, and then you get, the character development in this movie is top-notch. You have Maximus Decimus Meridius, the main character, obviously, general of the Roman army. You can tell within just the first 10 minutes, without even saying it, he is the greatest general of all time, most renowned. And then you have Commodus, who gets introduced, and you can tell pretty much instantly that he is a wimp, and he just cares about what other people think of him. So, like, he goes up to Marcus Aurelius, and Marcus Aurelius instantly cares more about Maximus than Commodus. And then the way that Commodus flips to the bad guy, kills his father, and sends Maximus away, and Maximus becomes a slave, and then goes up to come back to Rome and defy Commodus.
Striking story. Now that people want to know how the story ends.
And Commodus is one of the best villains of all time. Maximus is one of the best protagonists of all time. And this is just such a entertaining movie where you have Maximus from being at the top, going down and gaining his power again, to where the point where he could be the emperor of Rome, and then he gives it all back to the people. The ending of this film is truly one of the greatest movie endings of all time. A lot of people don't like how Maximus dies at the end. I think it's the only way this movie could properly end, because Maximus has two goals throughout the entire movie: kill Commodus and get back to his family. At the end, he does kill Commodus in the final battle, but then his only other goal is to get back to his family. How is he going to do that? He has to die. So it was only right for him to die at the end. And it's the first movie where you kind of want the main character to die at the end, because that's the only thing that's like just for him for the entire movie. He's been mistreated the entire movie. The only real thing that could happen is for him to die at the end, and for all the people to honor him. One of the best movies of all time, and my favorite scene of the movie is when Maximus reveals himself to Commodus. It's like, "My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix legions, loyal servant to the true emperor, Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next." One of the best lines of all time. And finally, y'all pretty much already know what my number one is. My number one favorite movie of all time, greatest movie, I would say greatest movie ever made, The Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan's best work, and the best superhero movie, just the best movie ever made. I could talk about this movie for hours. In fact, I'm planning on doing a stream pretty soon where I exclusively have to talk about only my favorite movie for as long as I possibly can. So a live stream where I talk about The Dark Knight for as long as I possibly can and see how long I can truly talk about this movie. Because there's so much to say, and I'm going to keep it pretty short here. But first off, Heath Ledger's Joker is the best performance of all time. He is so scary in this movie, but then again, also kind of funny in the way that he just has these little mannerisms, like, ooh. The way that this movie builds off of Batman Begins is really well done. And it has like Christian Bale's Batman being like on an all-time high, defeating crime in Gotham. And then the Joker comes along and kind of ruins all that, causes chaos. The city is in ruin, Harvey Dent is broken, and eventually Rachel dies, obviously sending Harvey Dent to be Two-Face. Until at one point, the Dark Knight, Batman, has to eventually give up his status as a good guy to bring Gotham back to trusting Harvey Dent, because Harvey Dent was the light and he fell. The Joker won in the end. Where the Joker showed Gotham that people weren't as good as they were. But then again, Gotham City also won in the end with the boats and the detonators, how no one detonated anything. So it's a double standard. But the ending where Batman rides off into the sunset on his bike gives me chills every single time. I could watch this movie all the time, and it will never ever get old. Truly the greatest movie ever made. But there you have it. That's my top 15 favorite movies of all time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me your thoughts on what your top 15 movies are in the comments below. And tell me what other rankings I should do. I'm planning on posting a lot more of these rankings on the Ryan David channel and saving Cool Guy Studios to be exclusively stop motion. This one's on Cool Guy Studios because Ryan David doesn't have a lot of subscribers right now. So I'd really appreciate it if you go subscribe to Ryan David. And also, again, follow me on Letterboxd. Again, all of that's in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you all on the flip side. Bye.